All right. Hello, everybody out there. This is our final day of Nerdier Than Thou, our virtual literary con that we normally hold in person at Emerald City Comics, but obviously, with the pandemic going on out there, we didn't feel good bringing you all together in a tiny little room with, very little air conditioning and lots of sweating. So we are doing this virtually this year, and we've had some amazing programming this week. Kicking off our final day, we have story time with our friends at Hocus Pocus Comics, Dwight and Rebecca McPherson. So I think we were just talking about this before we got on. I know they've done a number of events with us over the past year since we first met them at Nerdier Than Thou last year, and they've done a lot of Poe stuff with us. They're going to do something a little bit different, and we're excited to hear from some of their other work. So thank you guys so much for doing this. I don't know, I'll let you kind of take over from here, and if you need me, just let me know.
Well, thank you for having us. Of course, we enjoy working with you, and we love what you're doing for the community. So thank you for your hard work.
Pandemic, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And like Tiffany said, we always read from our Poe book because it's my opus, my magnum opus, and that's why we tend to read from it. But I want to read from another book, and this book is very special to me because it actually took 10 years from the time that I penned it until the book was complete and published. And the name of the book is Elevator, and it's been described as Dante's Inferno for the 21st century. And that's cool because I love Dante's Inferno. It's still, to my knowledge, considered one of the 10 greatest works, literary works of all time. So, Longfellow did a translation of Dante's Inferno because he thought it was that important. And so I'm going to show the cover. See the cover here? Rebecca's not doing sound effects. Sorry, JS.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not the
Unless she really wants
director, fully artist.
Yeah.
For my right.
Yeah. We need Jeff on here to do the sound effects. How about that? Excuse me, JS.
But tell a little bit about how the book came to be, or.
Well, like I said, it took 10 years to get this book made. I had several artists that worked on it, and it just didn't work out. And I kept pursuing it. I was like, I'm going to get this book made. I'm going to get this book made. So 10 years from the time that it was penned until the time it was available for purchase. So special thanks to Randy Valiente, who really makes the story come to life.
Yes.
And, I've been asked, why is it black and white? But black and white goes so well with the subject matter. And when you see the strength of his lines and just the negative space, that's involved in the Inferno, we'll just put it that way, because I don't want to give it away too much if you haven't read Dante's Inferno. I'm not going to say shame on you, but definitely check it out, okay? You definitely want to read Dante's Inferno.
Make your kids read it.
And what's really cool about this book is that Jeff Mudgett wrote the foreword. And Jeff Mudgett you may have seen him on American Ripper on the History Channel. He's the great-grandson of H.H. Holmes. And if you know anything about history, he is like the worst serial killer of all times. So he went on a search to find he believed that his great-great-great-great-grandfather was also Jack the Ripper. So that's a fantastic show. But Jeff is a really nice guy, and he's had to deal with all this of being related to one of the if not the worst serial killer of all times. So he wrote a foreword, and it's fantastic. But I'm going to jump right into it. Okay. Elevator.
I was told as I can.
Yes. He's going to cover up my face, which I'm totally cool with that. Okay. So here we go. Elevator. Canto 1. Going down. Page 1, 4 panels. Small inset panel of a black-haired teen, Richard, at the steering wheel of the car. He looks determined. Panel 2, wide-angle view of a car driving towards us. It is nighttime, and the headlights cast eerie light on the road before the automobile. We see trees on either side of the road, leafless and bent in odd poses like skeleton phantoms. Caption: I hate this place. When I finally managed to escape with my little brother, I swore I'd never go back. Panel 2. Medium view of the automobile. We can see an intense robber driving the car and a younger man in the seat beside him. Clothed in shadows are 2 passengers behind them. We can also see a sign as they pass by, but we cannot read what it says. Caption: and yet, here I am. My father died and left me and my brother an ungodly sum of money, and the Helton Inn, our childhood home, whatever that means. And now we've got to decide what to do with it. Oh, wait, no, panel 3.
No, I'm so sure.
Okay, panel 3, tight shot of the sign the boys have just passed. It reads Helton, but someone has spray painted another L onto the sign so that it reads Hellton. In the background, we see the taillights of the auto and see that they have entered a medium-sized town. Caption: if it were up to just me, I'd burn it to the ground. Page 2, 5 panels. Panel 1, large panel. Wide-angle view of the car pulling up a long driveway. Covered in shadows in the background is an enormous building. We can see many trees stripped of their leaves, looking like strange scarecrows all around the large inn. Caption: Richard, my younger brother, has no memory of the Helton Inn. Our shrink says he's blocked it out due to the trauma. Worst part is that he doesn't remember our mother. She fled when we were really young. Even then I understood. She had to get away before he killed her, or worse. Panel 2, wide angle shot of the car approaching the hotel. Caption: our shrink said it would be therapeutic for Richard to visit the old family home, so the mission is simple. Panel 3, the car is stopped and the young men are getting out. Drive to Helton, check out the place, see if it jogs any memories for Richard, and then get out of there. Panel 4, Richard is the only one in the car. He takes a deep breath. We see a menacing shadow in the back seat. Then we'll go back to Boston, hand it off to a realtor, and try to forget this hellhole ever existed. Panel 5, same shot. Richard exits. Shadow smiles. Caption: too easy, right? Page 3, splash page. Wide angle shot. The young men approach the hotel. Richard lags behind. Caption: it's funny my old man had to die to give us something decent. Only thing he gave me and my brother in life was scars. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Richard: wow, impressive. Richard: don't get any ideas, Rick. We're going to be in and out of here in 15 minutes, 20 tops. We need to get Matt and Tom back to the dorms before they turn into pumpkins or something. Richard: Dr. Herman said it would take longer. Edward: trust me, if you start remembering, you'll want to run away from this place as fast as you can. Page 4, 6 panels.
Hold on, people. Trying to keep up.
Dun, 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 dun. Dramatic music. Okay, page 4, 6 panels. Panel 1, Tom tries the door. Matt complains. Edward grins weakly at Richard, but Richard looks pretty upset. Tom: door's locked. Can I kick it in? Matt: brute force, Tom? Is that your answer for everything? Panel 2, Tom angrily looks on as Matt bangs on the door. Ed looks on. Tom: okay, Matt, why don't you just math it open? Sound effects. Bang, bang, bang. There you go. Edward: sounds like more brute force to me. Panel 3, an old man opens the door, startling the young men. Iblis: welcome, young masters. I have been expecting you. Tom. Panel 4, the old man steps out and speaks with Edward. Sorry to bother you, mister. Panel 5, medium shot of the old man talking. I am Philippe Iblis, the caretaker. It's no bother. Panel 6. Tight shot of the old man smiling. No bother at all. Okay. Page 5, 4 panels. I love your background. That is awesome.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
that totally took me out of the story. Okay. That is awesome.
Broke the fourth wall.
Yeah, yeah. Have a Deadpool moment, right? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Okay. Page 5, 4 panels. Panel 1, medium shot of the old man. Now step inside, young master, step inside. Panel 2, the boys are inside the foyer. Iblis lingers at the door. Edward, all right, just give us a general tour and we'll be out of your hair. Iblis, yes, of course, as you wish. Tom, I'm hungry. Panel 3, wide angle shot of the boys talking. Iblis still lingers at the door, closing it. If I may be so bold, you needn't concern yourself with my salary, young masters. Your father and I made an arrangement before he perished. Edward, at least he took care of someone. Matt, seriously, Tom? You just ate 3 bags of chips on the way here. Tom, you think this place has a kitchen? Richard, it's a hotel, fool. Of course it does. Panel 4, tight shot of the old man at the closed door. Iblis. Oh, he took good care of you as well, young master. Sound effect. Click. Page 6, 5 panels. Panel 1, wide angle shot of the boys talking to Iblis. Iblis, what shall I show you first, young masters? Panel 2, tight shot of Tom talking. Richard and Tom look at him in disbelief. Tom, I want to see the kitchen. Sounds like me. Panel 3, Iblis and Tom talk. The old man points at the floor. Iblis, why don't you wait down here, sir? We can visit the kitchen after I show the young masters some of the finer features of the hotel. Panel 4, wide angle shot of the old man leading the boys up the staircase. Richard pauses to speak to Tom. Richard, try not to eat any furniture while we're gone. Tom, very funny. Iblis, follow me, young masters. I will show you this exquisite fineries this historic hotel has to offer. Panel 5, tight shot of a devious Tom stoking his soul patch, which, soul patch. Tom, okay, that's long enough. Page 7, 4 panels. The old man leads. Matt is close behind. Edward and Richard lag behind to talk. Richard, has it changed much since we were here? Edward, not one bit. It's exactly the same. Matt, this is a beautiful old building. Iblis, oh, you haven't seen anything yet, sir. Panel 2, tight shot of Edward and Richard. Richard, what if we kept it? Edward, not going to happen. Richard, just hear me out. Panel 3, same shot. Edward smiles at Richard. Richard, you're going on to grad school. Me, I'm not sure what I want to do. Edward, do you want to become the next Paris Hilton? Panel 4, same shot. Both men smile. Richard, very funny. She doesn't run the company. Edward, I know, but you already have the blonde hair, so. Page 8, 5 panels. Tight shot of Iblis with one finger up, speaking. Iblis, I'm about to show you the George Washington Suite. The first president stayed 3 nights here in 1796 and has remained in the same state as when he visited. Panel 2, medium shot of Richard grinning. Edward grins back. Richard, I hope his corpse isn't still in there. Edward, considering our family, you never know. Panel 3, the old man points towards the room. Tom looks at him. Edward grins as Richard looks on. Richard, ha 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 ha. Edward, you laugh, but only because you don't remember anything. Panel 4, the old man prepares to lead them into the room. Edward points in another direction and Richard grins. Edward, thank you for the tour, Mr. Iblis, but we can take it from here. Idless. But we haven't even begun. Panel 3, exterior shot of the hotel. Edward, off panel. We'll take it from here. You can go. We'll see ourselves out when we're done. Idless. As you wish. And that is the first 8 pages of Elevator. So, anyways, this is a really, like I said, it's a close story to me. I know that, you know, with me growing up as a preacher's son, I know that I was always expected to do great things. In the story, though, the brothers, it's kind of the reverse. Their father was a very evil man. And so they're having to come to grips with what their father did. And like Jeff Mudgett, he has to decide what he's going to do. Is he going to go the way of, you know, that his father or that his, you know, ancestor went, or is he going to go in a different way? And that's, like I said, that's really what it's about. Family heritage, choices of our parents, choices that we make in light of, you know, choices in the past. And I love this story, and the ending is very powerful, and I hope people will check it out. It's different. It's definitely, it can definitely be used by, we know several teachers that are using it in combination with Dante's Inferno. It really makes it personal, I think, you know, because the Greeks, they always use the underworld in their stories, and, you know, and you have the story of Aeneas, and he goes into the underworld, and Dante borrowed from that to do his work. Virgil is his assistant who takes him through the underworld, and Virgil is actually, you know, he actually wrote the Aeneid. So I love literature. I'm a huge literature nerd. Anybody who knows me knows that I love literature, and I get asked all the time, well, why don't you write more prose? And the honest truth is that I love the medium of comic books. You know, having a son that's autistic, I found that he could really connect with comic books a lot more than he could just the words on the page, but actually connecting the visual art with the story. I constantly say this, that comic books are the marriage of literature and art. And, you know, so many people think that comic books is superheroes. No, superheroes is a genre, okay, of comic books. If you go to Europe, you find, I mean, every genre you can name of comic books, or Asia. So what would you like us to do now?
So as far as Elevator goes, where does that fall? Like, when did you write that one? When did, like, in all of the books that you've put out, like, where does it fall into that?
That was the first one of the new books that we've launched. When we first launched Hocus Pocus Comics, Elevator was the first book that we released.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, I wrote it in like 2005, I believe. So, and like I said, comics is different, you know, whereas if I were a novelist, I could just go ahead and write the novel and hand it off to my editor, and, you know, we go from there. But when you're working, it's a collaborative process for comics. So you may have an artist and get a contract signed, and, you know, like happens to a couple of my friends, you know, the artists that were assigned to the book, they went on to work for Marvel, or they went on to work for DC. So it's like, I'm right back at square one again, trying to find an artist. And as anybody who works in comics knows, an artist search is not fun or easy. But I'm just thankful that we were able to finally make the book, because it's a powerful message, and it's very near and dear to my heart.
An artist, but you have the colorist.
Yes.
You have a letterer. So there's all these different moving parts that have to happen to make a comic come to life. Whereas a book, you just write the words and send them off to your editor.
Right.
We have to actually do the visuals to accompany the words.
If I didn't love the medium, I would say forget it and move to novels. But who knows? I was
gonna say, it sounds like a lot less control over the work, but even as a novelist, if you're working with a publisher, you don't have that control anyway.
Absolutely. That's why we decided to self-publish.
Right. Well, we want to be able to control even the cover of a book to us. We want to be able to have a say in that. people see when they walk by on the shelves. And people judge a book by its cover. They do.
We have at least one, I'll just say that, novelist friends who was totally disappointed with the cover that the publisher chose. And
no say.
we had no say in the matter. So, you know, we chose the cover, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful painting.
Yes, I love that idea of the house.
You
The
know,
house being a character within the story as well, like the Haunted
Yes.
of Hill House. Where
oh,
the house is a
I love the Haunted
character
of Hill
as
House.
well as all the other characters within the story. But this
Yes.
this house is part of their family, it's part of their blood,
Yes.
their DNA, and it's a choice. It was all about a choice. That's what the book is about. It's a lot of choices you make that determine your future and all the consequences that happen with your choice, good or bad.
Now, I know you mentioned, you know, kind of having artists, illustrators being maybe picked up and kind of abandoning projects. What do you do at that point? Do you really start from scratch, or do you have people that do you try to find somebody that has a similar style that can kind of, yeah?
Most of the time, yes. But I have several friends that I've been blessed to know during the course of my comic journey. And, you know, generally one of them can crank out a story for me. But, you know, in comics, I mean, even in Marvel and DC, they have fill-in issues, they call it, where they'll have one artist draw 4 issues, and meanwhile, there's another artist drawing another 4 issues, and then another artist drawing 4. So they always have it, you know, it's monthly. When you're doing it monthly, it's a lot different when you're actually producing graphic novels. So,
But that could make the project stop because
Yes.
the schedules, life happens sometimes.
Yes.
People happen. So it just kind of stops the project for a bit. Then you kind of pick it up again, and then you keep going forward with it when you can. But again, it's our schedule. We can do that.
Now, so how did you make that like, how did Hocus Pocus Comics come to be? Like, how did you decide, hey, I need to make this transition and, you know, kind of create my own
Honestly,
publishing?
Oh, dear. Another panel altogether. I was just kidding.
Yeah, well, some things happened, and
Along the lines of this control and not being happy with
well,
Oh.
no names named.
Because sometimes you want to do 3, like the Imaginary Voyage of Edgar Allan Poe is 3 volumes. It's a trilogy.
Right.
Whereas sometimes a traditional publisher doesn't want that, and so the project just stops. And
that's
you don't finish the story.
that's a good example, because my very first book that I wrote, Dead Men Tell No Tales, I had already written 9 issues of the comic when I brought it to a publisher, and the publisher said, "Yeah, we want it. We'll do it in 4 issues." Well, I mean, I had it plotted out to be a 12-issue miniseries. So I had to take 12 issues of script and compress it down into 4 issues to actually get the book made. Now, if I'd have published it myself, I would have published it as 3 volumes of graphic novels, been able to tell you all about Blackbeard, been able to tell you all about Bartholomew Roberts, and I didn't get a chance to do that. So I'm still proud of it. I'm still proud of Dead Men Tell No Tales. I think it's a great story about desire for things and even good things. You know, if you desire them too much or you lust after them, it can be a bad thing. And really, that's what that story is about.
But that's more of what it was, just be able to tell our stories how we want to tell them and to finish our stories. We're going to guarantee you're going to finish the Poe series because we're going to make it happen.
Right.
Whereas someone else might find someone else something more shinier, and they go on to publish that one and promote that, and then we're just like,
Yeah. Flapping in the breeze.
If we don't get that, we get to finish it ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, it's a lot more work and a lot more of a struggle in it, but it's fantastic because we get to tell our story the way we want to tell our story.
Right. And I always jokingly, well, not jokingly, or let me see, how can I say this? You know, I always joke about, you know, us learning more about comics than we ever wanted to know when we decided to self-publish. So, yes, we have learned so much. I mean, we're talking about paper and, you know, cover stock and all this, you know, dimensions of things. And
Which is great. I like that. Again, I know it's a lot more knowledge that we have to gain, but it's just so much more satisfactory being able to do it
It is.
ourselves.
it is to see it on the shelf and say, You know, we made that happen. I mean,
Right,
that,
all of it too, and not
all
just-
of it,
Yeah.
all of it. Right.
Even the mistakes, even the, the ISBN number's wrong.
Yeah.
Do it again. It's just little things that you learn along the way.
Right.
It's us. And we can do our own publicity, which a lot of the other traditional, they want control of everything.
Yes.
And yet they're not publishing or promoting your book at all. Seriously, they went, wait a minute, and they don't want you because they have control. They have control of it, which is understandable. No, we do what we want to do. We PR our own selves. That's what we want to do it. And that's free.
And that's difficult. But,
freeing to know that we can do that, not get in trouble from the big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have $1 million, PR firms that work for them. So us,
Right. Yeah.
it's pretty much grassroots, which is why we really like to go to as many places in Florida as we can, libraries, and comic shops, and libraries, schools, I meant to say, and actually get to meet teachers, to meet students, to
We're hoping that more
interact.
kind of levels out a little bit.
Yes.
So a lull of when school's going to start, because we are on the advisory board for George Jenkins High School. We all stuff
The local
flying
high
over
school.
there.
Gotcha.
I
And
got
I know that has been a big part of what you've done is trying to reach students and trying to
Yes.
encourage literacy through
Yes,
comic
Yes.
books.
absolutely.
Right.
Right.
And I know you mentioned your own son. Is that part of the inspiration behind the trying to
Oh,
push?
sure. Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it is. Yes. And that's why a lot of schools are using that, because a lot of kids don't want to read books,
Right.
traditional books, but they will read a graphic novel.
Right.
And they still will learn something about a classic book they may have never picked up from the library.
Graphic novels have exploded, the sales of graphic novels, and they're in all the classrooms. And it's like I've said, for a long, long time, the future of comics is not in comic shops. The future of comics is in libraries and school classrooms. And that's what we've got to change the way we think. Marvel just signed a deal with Scholastic. It's like, finally, really? For 10 years, I've been saying that they should do this. They do.
Great. The more kids can read it.
Right.
So you were
I
a
think
little
monthly
bit- a little
comics
bit
are
ahead
gonna
of this.
zip. But graphic novels are just growing and growing and growing.
Right. The one issue, the issues a little bit more. It's harder now with COVID.
Right.
It's harder to single issues.
Right.
But I think people want a full story, especially as fast as they can, which is what we wanted to do. We wanted graphic novels, not piecemeal stories, because our attention span, or my attention span, is like. So I have to. If you don't grab me within the.
Well, can you imagine reading like Dickens, in a weekly thing, that you have to wait for
Right,
the next
which is-
chapter to,
Right. That's kind of crazy that's how.
and he
a lot
did
of those
that,
stories are put out.
That's where we used to
serialized
have
it.
it. That's the way.
Right.
That's where.
But if you would have done it as a novel, Edward Drew, we don't have the last chapter of that. So it was never finished. And
Last Dickens.
yeah, The Last
Matthew
Dickens,
Pearl.
Matthew
That's a good
Pearl.
recommendation.
Fantastic book that actually talks about that.
What happened to that last manuscript?
Right.
Now, as far as the Poe stories go, I think you said last time we talked that you're going to put them all together in one collection instead of doing it. Is that I don't want to make sure I got that right. Can you
Right.
talk a little bit about that decision and like where you are at with all of that?
Sure. Speaking of COVID, we lost our colorist. He's Italian.
Oh no.
Yeah, for
Not like
issue
he didn't
8.
die, I'm sorry.
No, he didn't die.
no.
It's just there were so many complications and everything.
Right.
But we're putting together the second graphic novel right now, which every story has the beginning, the middle, and the twist, as Jack Black would say. So chapter 2 is the middle section. And it's very important to the story, of course.
This is where everything starts to get real.
Yeah, this is where there's war in Terra Somnium. So it's a very, very important chapter. And then chapter 3. So if you want to go by single issues, issue 1 through 4 is collected in volume 1, and then 5 through 8 in volume 2, and then 9 through 12 in volume 3. And it's all written, it's all edited. Bing! And it is just, I know that the pencil and inked art has been done for issue 9. And we're finishing up the first, yeah.
I love this. We get the art and the
Yes.
you see your characters come to life again for someone else's
Yeah.
eyes. And
That's been a really fun thing, is seeing all the different artists' interpretation of our characters. I mean, even from Poe, you know,
Yeah, oh, he changes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like
Superhero
it's so iconic, the cover to the first book. It was done by Juan Ferreira. He's actually a Marvel guy now.
He's
Also
awesome.
worked for Marvel.
And
He
volume
is such a
two
good
will
guy.
Volume 2 will be published December of this year.
Yes.
And volume 3 will be in the spring of 2021.
Right.
So the
So
trilogy will be done. We'll have
that's our
all the
goal, to keep
stories.
one book coming out a year.
Yes.
So
Yeah. 1 or 2, because the end of the year we're gonna.
yes. Oh man, I cannot wait for the key. It's so
It's
poignant and
yeah,
timely.
when it's time, yes.
Yes. So and I'm working with Stephen Legg, who's actually working with Mike Barron and Steve Rude right now on Nexus stuff. JS. Bam. You know Stephen? A little bit. Okay. Yeah, Stephen is a great guy.
Our workforce.
He is.
He is a true artist. When you
True
put-
professional.
Let's say you learn how to draw, you know how to draw well, and you know how to draw fast. He does all three. He's just bam, bam, bam. You can adapt to any genre you want. That's an artist.
Yes.
That's an artist that can do that.
First you learn to draw well, then you learn to draw fast, then you learn to draw well and fast.
Right.
Yeah.
And Marvel hires you.
It steals you away from me.
But it's good to have work development because they're
It
all our
is.
friends, and
It is.
that's one thing we do miss about the conventions because we catch up with them, right? So it's hard.
That's hard.
Right. And I know we've talked about this a little bit
Yeah.
before, but I mean, this is really kind of what makes you guys tick, and like folks and
Yeah.
independent comic creators, independent artists.
They are conventions, local art fairs.
Well, the connections you make there and the just spending time together.
Yes.
You know, you work with people all around the world, and like someplace like New York or San Diego, they come from all over the world. So you may only get to meet this guy face to face once or twice in your whole lifetime. So having that taken away, that's the hard part for me, is not being able to give, one a hug and saying, thank you so much, man, for this beautiful artwork you've done for our book. So anyways, yeah, hug, yeah. Elbow hug.
Now, and I know, Rebecca, you mentioned, people in this pandemic being stuck at home, maybe wanting not just to wait for single issues of things. Have you seen more people reaching out to you and purchasing your books during?
Yes.
As soon as we got when the pandemic hit, we made sure we got our website up to date with our books to be sold, and we have had people buying them.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we have had it.
Done
We
pretty
had a
well.
good response for that. And that, yeah, I said we were not even thinking about that because we're so used to. We had our whole schedule out.
Yeah.
We were rock and roll and people. And
Right, and then your schedule one by one, everything.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is nice.
It's like Letterman, zing, toss the card away.
2020. Here we go. The next thing we know is it's December.
Yeah.
But we have seen a spike, and we almost seen a spike in our websites, just in general.
Yeah.
People viewing our videos, viewing our stuff.
They have a lot more time.
Engaging. Yeah, you're right. That's true. They have a lot more time now. You're right.
Right.
That's probably what it is. Because before we're all, going, doing our day jobs, night jobs, but now they have time enough at last. So yeah.
Twilight's on reference, in case you missed that.
Yeah, I have noticed a lot more engagement with
Yes.
the pandemic, which we wouldn't have done before.
hpcomics.net, we just updated it as well.
And
So
keep updated.
Okay.
I'm kind of streamlined it, making it easy for you to order stuff. But as soon as we know more about the school schedule, we'll let you know that as well.
Yes.
We're still kind of waiting to see how that's going. But we have workshops that are going to happen with the school if that happens.
and we're always open to, to do video conferences as well. We've done, some with universities and some with classrooms, school classrooms, and that's always fun.
It is.
Some of the questions that kids ask you will just like floor you.
Never thought of it. I never thought
Yeah,
of it.
wow, I didn't think about that one before.
I love that. I love that. That's really makes you scratch your brain.
It does.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting during everything that's been going on to see how our industry, how we all adapt to everything that's going on. It's
And big
it's
authors,
been-
I was telling him, authors are who at one point would write the book and give it off to their editor. they'd be fine. Here's my book tour. Well, now they're doing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really hurtful.
Like, here you are today.
Can I be a part of your virtual book tour? I'm like, wow, these authors
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
It's they're learning how they have to really find their audience and engage with their audience as well, and their readers. Whereas the PR company was done that for them already.
Well, and to be honest, I think it's good. We've gotten this boot in the rear end that's made us, really examine the technology that we have. I mean, I've been saying for 10, 12 years that comics needs to look for alternative distribution. That Diamond's not going to be here forever. I mean, we need to find another way. And I know DC has moved on, and they distribute their own books now, which that's weird, okay? Because you walk into a comic store and they're like, we got all the DC books, but all the books, Marvel and all those that were distributed by Diamond, we don't have them yet. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of a new, it's a
Bizarre.
change. It's an adjustment for a lot of comic shops, I'm sure.
But we've seen the rise of Comixology and online apps. I mean, you can get comics on web comics as well, but you can get comics on Kindle. Yeah, there's a lot of different formats where you can get them, and I think it's just my generation. I mean, we're such completionists. I mean, we gotta have the book, we gotta smell the paper and everything. But I think the younger generation, they want to have it on a device where they can look at, because they're on the device anyways. So I mean, they can scroll through and look at their, and look at a comic book or a graphic novel, and I don't know. We got to get smarter.
Yeah, so it's just meeting them where they already are, and then
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. That's why I say in the classroom as well. So in the classroom and on electronic devices, that's where we need to focus on. Because the brick and mortar shops, sadly, I don't know how much longer they're going to be with us, and they're closing. She worked at Meltdown Comics in LA, and I mean, it's not there anymore. It's gone.
I would never have thought that I go down Sunset Boulevard and not see Meltdown Comics. I was just shocked. I was so shocked. I mean, I'm so blessed and so thankful to have been a part of that family. But that was just a real hard, eye opener for me.
It was a gut punch for
They
a
had
lot
more
of
than just comics. They had a lot of arts and stuff.
collectibles.
Yeah, a lot of events and stuff. So the age in which we live.
In a way, it hurt the community around there as well.
Such a landmark.
Yeah, that is sad to see. Like, like any bookstores, comic book stores closing is a hard.
That was hard. That
Yes.
was wonderful. That actually opened my eyes a lot to comics and how I really learned the love of seeing people come in for their issues every week. And I used to make fun of them. Well, now I knew, okay, that's, they feel safe. That's where they should feel safe. They should be able to buy their books and geek out as much as they want to.
Yes.
And I love learning that. That really opened my eyes to a lot.
Now, do you think, because I know that there's a little bit of a resurgence that you're seeing in just kind of bookstores in general, do you think seeing that in comic book, do you think you'll see that in comic book stores too, or?
We just don't know.
No.
Right now. We don't know. There may be. They made a huge comeback. We don't really know right now. I don't think they'll completely go away.
Well,
but they're just kind of doing a little
with
bit.
DC moving away from Diamond, I think that may have hurt them too badly.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna work.
And if the mouse sees that comics are not, really doing well anymore, they'll get rid of them. I mean, and make them available. They're doing digital direct comics now. I mean, comics that never see the shelf, that they just go straight to digital.
Interesting.
Because that's all they're looking for. I mean, Disney's got this stable of IPs, and they just need some stories to tell with them. So they go to the comics and look for stories, and then they make them into movies. So that's all they really are anymore. So, and that's sad, in my opinion. I'd love to go into the comic shop. JS we used to go to Jeppy's Comic World in Largo, and that place was the bomb. And it's funny because it was run by Steve Jeppy, right? And Steve Jeppy runs Diamond now. So, and he started it out of Jeppy's Comic World. So
that's so funny. I had no idea.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
What was your comic? What was your comic in there?
Yeah, JS and I made a comic called McAegis when we were in high school, and Steve Jeppy, God bless him, he actually sold our comic on the shelf. That's right. So that was really something. What grade were we in when that happened? 9th, 10th? Oh my gosh, it's so long ago. We were 7? No, that's not possible. Hey, Daisy! Oh my gosh. How you doing? Good to see you.
Sorry, Tiffany, we're taking the work.
Yeah,
No,
sorry.
you're all right. That's funny.
I've known JS for many, many years, and
Good times, yeah.
he's
Stories, good
a
times.
good friend. So,
And it's good
and
to see
Daisy,
them.
I know Daisy too. I've known her since they
It's
first
so
got
cool to
married.
see them, when they were young in high school, when you're so impressionable and you
Yes.
don't know what you want to do, but then they're still doing what they want to do. And you've gone through our different journeys in life here and there, and done this and that.
Yes.
But we're back doing what we're supposed to do. And that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's making comics. I took 2 years away, and I can remember our oldest son saying, "Dad, I wish you were making comics. I really liked it when you were making comics." So I went back to it, and I don't regret it. I've really had
It's
a great
It's
time.
a time for our family.
I could, I've said it before that, authors can revise their works. It's no problem. If they're like, hey, we're doing another printing, you want to revise your work? Yeah, no problem. So, like Tolkien has been revised 7 or 8 times, his works, but you can't revise a comic book unless you do it all over again from scratch. And that's what we did. I was actually able to take that first graphic novel that was published by Image and to make it a Hocus Pocus comic and make the changes that I wanted to make. Because I think all authors do that. They're looking at it like, ooh, no, I wouldn't do that. So I was actually able to make the story that I really wanted to make. And I'm so proud of it. And I hope people will check it out. All my works are important to me. I think Elevator is the one where I really, really put myself out there the most. Very personal. Yes.
That grabbed me. That hooked me in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that one. Yeah. I want to know more.
Hasn't finished it. She's scared she won't finish the book.
Yeah. Well, we've had people tell us, "Oh my gosh, it scared the crap out of me," but I love it. The story of what you're saying, it's so powerful. So if you'll just get through it, if maybe you're not a horror buff, I've heard some people aren't, but if you read the story, it's so much bigger than that. I don't want to give away too much, but
I think if you like stories, though, I don't think genres always matter. Like, I'm not necessarily a horror person, but
Yes,
I like stories. So
absolutely, I think that's you're actually hit it right on there, because that's right. It has to be a good story.
people want a good story.
You don't have to constantly write in a certain genre. Just give me a good story.
Well, I had her read Weave World by Clive Barker, and she's like, "Clive Barker, that's a Hellraiser guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's him." She loved it. It's one of my favorite novels. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you think of some of the characters, they stay with you.
Yeah. I agree. It's all about the stories. We just want good stories. Before people had written language, they told stories.
Right.
And we think about the Iliad. By the time the Iliad was finally recorded, it had been told for probably 100 years or more. So
Each country has their own version of it.
Yes.
Ireland has their own Brian Boru. They have their own different version of those big hero stories. Right? King Arthur. England has King Arthur.
That's why audiobooks have become so huge.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it appeals to that natural sense of just telling and
I
hearing.
agree. I'm always, you'll see me at nighttime, I'm always on old time radio listening to the old stuff, because I love the idea of using my own imagination with the words. I don't need to have it actually spoon fed to me sometimes. But that's why I wanted to see that audio drama panel you have, which is really cool, because I want to learn more
that was really good.
the new version of what that is to me, old time radio shows.
Well, it reminds me of, I'm going to date myself, but I'm old. But I remember Amazing Stories. Steven Spielberg had like a variety show, kind of, I guess you'd say, called Amazing Stories. It was like Twilight Zone. It was episodic. And at the very beginning, there's like a witch doctor, and everybody's sitting around the fire, and he's, gesturing as he's telling the story, and everybody looks enwrapped in what he's saying. And, so yeah, we actually have been approached about doing an audiobook of The Imaginary Voices of Edgar Allan Poe. And I am all for that. We'll see what happens.
I love it. I'm constantly on the radio, LibriVox.com or LibriVox.org. All these old stuff, that you just hear and just feeds your imagination so much. That's love, and also the voices. You have to have the right voice, you know, for the, for the audio. I mean, I learned that back in my film, TV production days, where I did voiceovers. That was an interesting, you know, genre all on its own. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, the right voice. You got to have the right voice for the role.
What's cool is Scarlett Johansson read Alice in Wonderland. That was really cool.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
I
that.
think Laura Linney read Nancy Drew. It's just different.
Andy Serkis is doing The Hobbit.
Yeah, things like that. I love that.
So.
There's a huge medium for audio drama.
There
That's
is.
going to explode.
Yeah.
And not just because of COVID. That's just going to come back because we're going backwards in a good way for that in the oral storytelling.
That's a
It's
good
gonna
thing.
really just
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, where we lived in Tennessee, they had the
yeah,
storytellers storytelling festival.
Oh, the Telebration, the wait.
The storytelling
It's in
festival we don't
Jonesboro, Tennessee. It's
Yeah, I think it was
International Storytelling Center.
Telebration. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, that is, yes.
we were able to hear one
Those
Irish
stories.
storytelling in particular, and I mean,
That guy was.
everybody was spellbound. So, you know, he's silent, and you're waiting for it. He goes, "Ah!" I mean, and everybody in the whole crowd it was awesome. But it's incredible to.
They do like a local version of that here, like the local chapter does the Telebration in Pinellas County. Yeah, so for Tampa Bay.
This thing, you know, gets, you know, so, but we
Who-
love to go to that.
That would be great.
That's so much fun to hear somebody tell a story like that.
It is. It is. We still love it. We love to hear the story.
Now, and have you ever? I mean, I'm sure you have. Have you thought about, especially Rebecca, with your background in like film, TV, production like that? Have you thought about taking the comics and making? Yeah.
We are actually discussing some things that I
Cool.
can't talk about.
That's awesome.
Because I don't want to jinx it. But I think in film, when I read a book, I see it. I see the cinematography. I see the soundtrack. That's how I read books, because that's how I see it move across the page on my mind. So I'm always thinking about film.
Right.
Absolutely. That's been my goal.
But I've never, you know, to be honest, from the beginning, I never did that. I just wanted to tell a good story. I wanted to tell a story that, you know, has a strong beginning, a strong middle, and a strong end, and something that people can connect to. And you wouldn't think that people could connect to Edgar Allan Poe because, you know, given what I knew about Edgar Allan Poe just from school, of course, we read The Raven and maybe The Bells and, you know, Cask of Amontillado, different things like that. But I didn't know anything about him personally. So for me to actually research Edgar Allan Poe and find out what kind of person he was, and that only a small fraction of his writing is horror. The majority of his stuff is comedy, parody, you know, different things like that. But most people don't know that. They just think, you know, the master of the macabre, Edgar Allan Poe. And, oh, man, he must have had a great life because, I mean, he wrote all these stories that are so popular. False. Yeah, so I was able to actually research the man himself, and that's where I felt like that we were kindred spirits of our life experience. Now, he had a lot harder than me. I mean, I'll give you that, with losing the women in his life that he loved so much to consumption. And but a lot of the things that he went through, I can definitely identify with that. And that's all I'll say, because
Give it away.
the boss will kick me.
That's
She needs to kick me, though. I mean, I need it, you know.
Keep the line. These writers, I'm telling you. They're a rare breed.
and you guys, so you guys met, I think, because you picked up one of his
I did. I bought
comics, one of his books. Yeah.
And Ben Tell No Tales. I was working in. I was actually working at Meltdown at the time, but I was going for my weekly, you know, to see what's new on the shelves, and they had a pirate display of all different kind of pirate graphic novels. And his one, the cover, Ben Templesmith. Thank you again. It was the cover of the book that actually
brought you together.
Yeah, Ben brought us together because I saw the cover. I thought, wow, that's a scary looking pirate. I'm like, what the heck's that about? And I thought, oh, that's really kind of a cool twist on the quest for the Holy Grail. You know,
Oh, you gave it away. A spoiler. No, I'm just kidding.
please. The pirate, you know,
That's been up for a long time. So
I ain't giving it away, but it was done so well, so that's why. Yeah, a book brought us together, and we just had so much in common. We have such different lifestyles, but we have so much in common with that, with our, you know, film, TV, and books background.
Yes.
That talking to him, like we spend most of our time talking
Oh yeah.
about literature. You know, always see
Oh,
us on the porch with our drinks, so just watching the lake and talking about stories or poetry that we read. Because that permeates so much of our lives. I
Absolutely.
grew up reading books in my grandmother's apartment in Manhattan. You know, my mom, we always had the Reader's Digest, for little little stories in them. I'm dating myself, but I mean, I used to sit there and read those, you know, I was like fascinated with this. So it's so much a part of my life that that's what connected us together.
I knew it was meant to be when we were talking about Star Trek, and I said, I'm original crew only. And she goes, me too. And I was like, oh, it's on. Yeah, I know.
That's
Sorry,
great.
yes,
That's adorable.
You know, it's all about Kirk, McCoy, and Spock.
And that cheesy
That
sci-fi
chemistry.
type stuff, I mean, it's just, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's just,
The world would be a different place without Star Trek.
you wouldn't have
The original.
walkie-talkies, you wouldn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
It's not original crew. I'm just saying.
That's an aside. Because there's no question that TV and film has been such a huge influence on us, as well as literature and poetry.
Absolutely.
But I love stories. What you said was perfect. It's all about the story. If I can read a good story, I don't care what genre it is, except romance. I actually wrote a romance comic, kind of.
Oh, well, that was a good
It wasn't very romantic, but
Oh my goodness.
I wrote that for Mary McGee, and that was
If we can get those out, those actually really fun. We make fun of the genres.
I was able to parody
Yes.
several genres: superheroes,
Romance one.
westerns, romance,
And
and
anime. Or what's
the other one was
anime.
Bone. You
Yeah,
know,
Bone. That's right.
yeah, that was and Pokemon. I was able to do Pokemon too. My kids still talk about that. They're like, Dad, that's the greatest comic book ever written. So we need to talk to IDW and get them to release.
Yeah, release it in a volume, all those issues. That would be a bestseller.
Ben Temple's
That sounds really funny. Yeah, that's fun.
brought us together.
Well, guys, I appreciate you taking the time and to hang out with us this morning and read some of your work and chat about everything. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. So glad that we connected last year for
Yes.
as I said, you were there for our last in-person Nerdier Than Now. JS was as well. You guys can't see him. He's up in the
I see him.
Hey.
Number one fan.
Oh yeah. You get a free t-shirt.
But I've shared your website over on Facebook where this is streaming and links to Elevator as well. So
Thank you so much.
The story needs to be read. You have to read it, people.
You really do.
well,
Thank you, Tiffany.
thank you guys so much. Good to see you.
It is.
It's good to see you
Always
too.
good to see you. Please stay safe.
Yeah, you
We're
too.
available in the future. We're here. We're here for your taking.
We're always doing something weird, so as long as you're up for it.
Awesome. We're up for weird.
We're there.
All right, see
Yeah.
you guys later.